guys, this is Pierce's route, the very first video. So we're gonna spam Pierce.
あれ？よそ者の女の子。引っ越しが初めてで、引っ越しに驚いてた女の子。珍しい生き物が来たな。その言い方やめてって。じゃあどんな言い方ならいいの？珍しい生き物は珍しいとしか言いようがないでしょ。君がよそ者なのも引っ越しに驚いたのも本当のことでしょ。まあ引っ越しにはそのうち慣れちゃうと思うけど、回数を重ねれば嫌でもなれることだからね。
So those little mini scenes, they're randomly generated. When I actually did mine, I got like about 6 of them where it just spammed with no response because it was the wrong time of day. So I don't know what that one said, but eventually like you'll have heard it because they repeat. They're not important. The big events that they trigger are though.
いいところに来たね。さっきにゃんこが出かけたところなんだ。今の時間帯はゆっくりのんびりできるよ。
Now this scene I also got, and that's what lets you know, like, those little random generated little mini scenes don't matter. Now if I do get some during my original playthrough that I translate, I will tell you them afterwards what I got. It's just to give you an idea of what happens on there and like how you actually get on a route. But this scene's about how they're going to give us the hourglasses to be able to visit at the right times without getting kicked away.
これをあげます。
The maid's like, I'll give you this. And she's like, is this a sandglass? A short break between work. When I was spending a short break with a colleague to go somewhere, one of my other colleagues suddenly gave me a present.
砂時計ですね。
The employee, the male one's like, it's an hourglass. And she's like, yes, it is an hourglass. And it was a familiar hourglass that was presented to me, one of the mysterious items in this world. This is an hourglass that can change the time zone.
そうです。見ての通り、時間帯を好きな時間帯に変えられる砂時計ですよ。
She says, yes, that's right. As you can see, it's an hourglass that changes the time zone to your favorite time zone, so you can visit who you want. A mysterious hourglass that is different from an ordinary hourglass. You can change the time zone freely just by turning it over. In this world, where time is crazy, it's actually a pretty useful item, and I also find it useful, she tells them.
この前、塔の近くで拾ったんです。
You do
私が持
technically...
っていても意味がありませんから、あなたにあげますね。
So the maid actually told her a bunch of stuff here. She was like, I went to go and visit somebody and I couldn't meet up with them. And so when I was there, I picked it up near the tower the last time. And so she was like, you can have it, basically there. And so Alice responded back, okay, you picked it up, so is it really okay if I just wanted to use it, ...
私はいりません。あなたが使ってください。
And the maid's like, I don't need one, you use it. So Alice tells her thank you. You receive an hourglass from a colleague, so they were given thanks for having handed it to your hand. Hourglasses are falling on the road. That's bad for valuables, she mentions offhand, ...
落ちていますね。
The maid's like, yes, they are falling.
領土内ではあまり見かけませんけど、他の領土に行った時なんかはよく見かけますね。
The male employee tells her, I don't see much in this territory, but when I go to other territories, I often see something like this.
それを拾ったのも他の領土に行った時ですからね。
So here she's
会いた
explaining
かっ
it.
た人に会えなくて屋敷に戻る途中で見つけて拾ったんです。
The maid tells her basically how you're going to end up picking these up throughout the game. I picked it up when I went to another territory and I didn't meet the person that I wanted to meet. And so it basically generated as a fallen item. So Alice tells her, you too, when I picked up the old hourglasses, it was because I couldn't meet the person that I wanted to meet. And she's referencing the first game. When I went to meet friends from other territories, but I couldn't meet up with them, it was when I would always be able to pick up the hourglasses. I used to wonder many times, but now I'm just used to it.
他にもゲームの商品としてたまにもらうことがありますね。
And the employee tells her, well, otherwise it's a prize for the games that I sometimes win, which is new information for her because they didn't do that in the former games. But basically he's saying if you win mini games, you end up with more hourglasses to be able to spam your person more during their time of day. She's like, is that so? ? And then she mentions, hey, that's new to me.
本当にたまにですけどね。商品として十分に価値のあるものですから。
The maid's like, sometimes, but sometimes it's also not worth it to do those mini games. She's like, hey, that's right, ... I was surprised that there was a way to get it besides picking it up. Until now, I've been using abandoned things, other than the first one that I received from Blood. And she's referencing in their prologue for the first game, if you stayed at the Hatter family mansion, he gives her a present. And in the present, there's the Russian doll thing where you keep opening it and opening it and opening it to get a smaller and smaller doll. Well, it's smaller and smaller boxes until finally she ends up with the hourglass and he uses one of the turns because you only get 3 turns off of it. Because he's a jerk like that. And she's like, yeah, I've only used the abandoned ones that she found as abandoned things, other than that first one that Blood gave her as a present.
もし誰かにゲームに誘われたら遊んでみるといいんじゃないですか?
So this is where the card game events are mentioned.
きっと勝っても負けてももらえると思いますよ。
He's telling her, if someone invites you to play a game, why don't you try it? If you are able to try it, I'm sure that you can win or lose. It wouldn't matter. But he's basically explaining how this occurs. If there's someone that offers you a game, then that's basically a card game triggered, and you can win some hourglasses that way.
ゲームをした相手が砂時計を持っていたらの話ですけれどね。
But the maid tells her, if the opponent who played the game has an hourglass, it's end of story. She's like, I will remember. Thank you for teaching me, after a pause. And we're going to spam Pierce. So that very first one that we got with Pierce, I do believe it was this same one because it was really long and I didn't get any more randomly generated scenes. So the very first one that I got was, that's Alice, outsider girl, ... A girl who was moving for the first time and was surprised to move, an unusual creature who came. And he's like, why don't you say something? What should you say, or what should I say? Can it only be said that rare creatures are rare? And he's talking about her. This is their first meeting when she first spams him. And then he's like, is it true that you are a stranger or surprised at the move? Like an outsider and surprised at the move? Pierce is like, well, I think you'll get used to moving over time. If you repeat it, you will get used to it, even if you don't like it. And that was like the longest one and the very first one that I got, so I think it was that first one that we generated. Now we're going to try to generate some more. So the one that I got that attempt, because we're on where I started spamming him, he says, I'm scared of Nyanko. I hate Nyanko. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And he's like, I hate Boris in particular. Why are you chasing me with a knife and a fork? He's like, I'm scared. I don't like it. I hate it. And so now we're going to spam again, which will give us this like message saying that it's not the right time. Yep. Now, I actually spammed Nightmare that attempt, and he was like, you okay, Alice? You were surprised by the sudden move, right? Question mark. You seem to have adjusted to having moved, especially for the first time. And Nightmare was like, well, even I was happy to see you in this reality. And then it went to the clock CGs again. This is evening, so it's going to do it again. This would also be Vivaldi's time and the people at the castle. That puts me on track about to where I was at with my playthrough on how many I got that were like return spams versus like how many I hit him with. So now we're going to use the hourglasses, which is what I used at this point in time. And those are down here. There we go. This also, I wanted to show you, tells you what your love level are. So, like, eventually his will be filled up, and then these are all of the people that you can play for a route in this game. There's quite a bit. There's like 10 of them. Now we're going to change it to noon so you can see what that is. And then it's like, when do you want to change it to? And I'm like, noon, please. I used an hourglass, and it says the remaining number of uses is 2. And then we're going to pick Pierce, because that's his time of day. It would also be Boris's, I would assume, too. So we're going to go visit him. So then my attempt, I got Alice. Don't you know that we have a cat here, Nyanko? If you don't run away, it can eat you. And Pierce is like, but if I don't, or sorry, if it don't, then I'd like to be with you until Nyanko comes. And then he like fades out. So it's evening. That means we're gonna spam Pierce again after we turn the hourglass. And it's like you have one remaining one. And then it's the right time of day to get him. So we'll go again and get him. Whoops. There we go.
Neko いないよね。にゃんこいない？いたら逃げなきゃ食べられちゃう。でもいないならにゃんこ来るまで君と一緒にいたいな。
So what I got that attempt was, hello Alice, you came, I'm glad now, and I'm who you came to see me, and then it was a choice one, so I won't go into that one because it'll pop back up later, and that'll like help determine like how he feels towards you. So we'll go on ahead and visit Nightmare right now. It doesn't really matter, but we can get a scene with him.
君か。急な引っ越しで驚いただろう。君は特に引っ越しが初めてだったようだしね。まあ、私は現実でも君に会えて嬉しかったかな。それくらいしかいいことがないんだ。
And then the clock changes again. It's evening. We're gonna spam Pierce. It tells you that you found an hourglass, which is what I was hoping. Yay, that means we can change it more to him now. And now when he's talking about help me, like the cat is coming, I believe. Because Teskete or something like that. Alright, we're going to change the time of day. And it's like you have one left. Trying to trigger one of the choice questions or the card game that I got from him. That or the scene, one or the other, whichever comes first.
ちは。また来てくれたんだね。嬉しいな。もちろん俺に会いに来てくれたんだよね。
He was like, hello. Ah, 3 questions. Alright. I believe this was the one that I was looking for. So, he's like, hello, Alice, you came. I'm glad now. I'm the one who you came to see, right? Me? And then the top choice is I came to see Pierce. The next one is Boris. And then the last one is I was just walking, ... So, of course, we're going to choose Pierce. And again, these just randomly generate. He's like, thank you.
じゃあどうしようか。あっちの方まで遊びに行ってみる？それじゃなかったらまだ君の行ったことない場所を案内しようか。
He was like, well, what do you want to do? Try to go to the city? If not, would you like me to guide you to a place that you haven't been to yet?
とりあえず森からは出ようね。そろそろ猫が起きてきちゃうから。
Pierce is like, for now, let's get out of the forest. A cat will get up to us soon, or be here soon.
追いかけられる前に出かけちゃおう。ね、そうしよう。
He's like, let's go out before you are chased. Alright, you guys, we're gonna end this video here.